hairstylist or whoever, they just can't be your son. Right? Like, am I bugging? Is that a thing? I don't know. Whatever. So, all right, let's just talk about Tory and Meg. All right. Now, last week when I seen Meg and Tory on that fucking live with Kylie Jenner, I knew. As soon as Kylie was like, "This is live? This is a live?" Like, when she was giving like that, and I mean, she wasn't slurring. I'm not trying to insinuate anything, but she definitely, for a person who lives their life on Instagram, like, I don't know, the whole thing, and it just kind of, it was a vibe that I just wasn't understanding. But, you know, like Ray J said, sometimes you can't do nothing better but let it go. All right? So it happened. Next thing you know, we are then hearing stories about that Tory Lanez, and okay, so first of all, let's just get here first. I think the first story we were told was that the police were called to a Hollywood Hills residence or outside of the residence. Gunshots went off. Meg cut her foot on a piece of glass. Tory later was arrested for gun possession, right? So then we get a little bit deeper into the story. A couple of days pass by. You know, Chelsea, who was a friend who was with Meg. Now, if you recall, Meg, Chelsea, and her hairstylist, Kalan, they had posted a picture just the day before, posted a series of Insta stories the day before that, right? So we know Chelsea was with her. So then it comes out that Chelsea says, "Hey, you know, listen, I didn't have a gun. I was in the car, blah, da, 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 da." Jay, right, her former hairstylist, he posts something saying, "Oh, she needs to be careful who she hanging around. She got a bunch of fake people around her, whatever." So then, all of a sudden, law enforcement sources tell the Shave Room that they are looking, tell TMZ that they were looking at Tory as a person who pulled the trigger. We later find out that Meg was shot in the foot twice and had to undergo surgery. Even though he hasn't been named as a suspect, now this is still earlier on in the week, they have since opened an assault with a deadly weapon investigation to see what exactly went down before they were pulled over. Now, by then, it's already like in the know that Meg had been shot by Tory. Now, Meg then posts something. Black women are so unprotected, and we hold so many things in to protect the feelings of others without considering our own. It might be funny to y'all on the internet and just another messy topic for you to talk about, but this is my real life, and I'm real life hurt and traumatized. Now, comes after 50 Cent posted a picture of Meg's face over Ricky from Boys in the Hood's body and post Tory's face over the, legendary scene where Ricky gets shot in a drive-by. And 50 says, "Run, Ricky, run. What the fuck is going on?" Now, the only thing that I have to say is, number one, I am glad that, Meg is going to live. I am praying for recovery for her because, I imagine that this is a super traumatic event and, it's not easy kind of getting past those. Then there is the flip side of Tory Lanez. Now, I am a huge fan of the Joe Budden podcast. And I thought it was... Now, listen, these niggas are, they are famous and they are, celebrity insiders. But I thought it was a little presumptuous and reckless for them to insinuate that Meg and Tory were somehow in a relationship. And Joe even likened the situation to Rihanna and Chris Brown. It gave him those kind of vibes. And number one, Not that it is impossible for Tory to be with Meg. I'm not saying that, even though she's, 5'10", she's 6 feet tall, and he is 5'3", it was revealed. I don't think it's impossible for them to be together, but, let me just say this. I definitely know what it's like as a woman to have the male friend around who is great to hang out with, down to do whatever, but he's definitely like an airplane who is unable to land, so he's just going to fly around and burn off some fuel. So that's what him hanging out feels like. Like he's just kind of, especially when you get to be a woman of a certain age, that this nigga is just kind of lingering because he wants to land the plane. You know what I mean? But, so to speak, I don't presume that these two were an item. What I presume is that, and this is just me talking shit, they basically said, things went left. You have the girl who likes the girl and likes the guy. And so you know how that girl is, and it could go left, and, you messing around with her and whatever, and she upsets you, and, it's nasty for you to threaten her with a gun, and then it's even more nasty for you to shoot her. Okay, cool. It's nasty for you to assume that she had anything to, going on with him like that. You know what I mean? As a woman, I very much know how it is to have the nigga who is, again, he's just burning off fuel, flying in circles, just kind of hanging out, being down, being cool, not even being aggressive like that. But the moment that he see you popping off with somebody else, you get the vibe from him. You get the vibe from him. You know what's up. You know that nigga mad. He mad. You know what I mean? The type of nigga that Dirty Mac. He a Dirty Mac nigga. He would literally, Dirty Mac any nigga that is trying to fuck with you. You know that guy. So for me, again, I never assumed that they were messing around. I just assumed that, something happened. Perhaps the wrong mix of drugs and alcohol, allegedly. Meg was being her Meg self. And, there was niggas around. And, she felt the beat. And this nigga probably views it as, I don't want her to be a pass around. And also, and I mean that from the standpoint of that's just how niggas think. She's just out here doing her thing. She young, rich, and beautiful. So I'm sure when she's, out here doing her thing, getting niggas, you know what I mean? She just on her Rihanna shit. I listen. We've got to let go of the idea that if a woman behaves a certain way, especially if she's in those situations, that she a this or she a that, or she had to have been his possession while he acted like that. No, she don't have to be. A lot of times it's not even about, listen, I saw Lovey post something the other day at LUVVIE, and I think it was a repost from, or somebody reposted it. And it was a video of her talking about how she was upset because not even the woman's man, the woman's ex-boyfriend shot her in front of her 4-year-old. The 4-year-old also got grazed with a bullet. Sometimes it's not about you even being with these niggas anymore. Or it's not about you ever being with them. And just because you with somebody, that don't make them your possession. Listen, we got to get off of this ego trip. Relationships are transient. So you cannot anchor your life in a relationship. You can't anchor. This is what gets parents fucked up. This is what gets you fucked up in relationships. This is what gets you fucked up in all your relationships. And it's hard because your heart is so invested. Your time is invested. Your ego is invested. So when you anchor yourself in anything that's not bigger than a relationship or bigger than a person, you got to anchor yourself in some sort of spiritual something. For me, it's my relationship with God. And And it's when I put other things in the center as a replacement where shit gets rocky for me. You know? Listen, I don't presume to know what happened that night. What I can, everybody has their theories. But what I can say is that she was shot. She could have been killed. The other passenger could have been killed. Tory can lose everything at this point. His career, his livelihood. I believe he's a father. I'm sure that he's also probably been taking care of his family. He is not from this country. You got to think. You have to think, And sometimes it's not good to keep that nigga around you. If you know that you don't have... I will say this, and this is not even me talking about Tory and Megan, but on a strength of realness, if you know that you don't have any intention to be with someone, don't keep them around, especially if you know they want to be kept around because they want to be with you. It's one thing to keep somebody around and they ain't really sweating being with you or whatever. They out here doing their thing. You keep them around, if the stars align and y'all have an Erykah Badu see you next lifetime kind of love, then, shit'll pop off. But, he ain't there just because he trying to be with you. Or she ain't there because on a strength, she's just hoping that at some point she could be with you. I think sometimes you have to also be accountable in certain situations. And if you know that someone has feelings for you, it probably doesn't behoove you to keep them around when you have no intention on being with them. Because that jealousy that's going to creep in when they see you being a certain way with someone else, a way that they would like you to be with you, that's going to cause problems. It causes problems. Can you see it? All right. Before we set the table, I just want to, again, Bree Black, Shakib Peters, Drea McCarthy, Brayla Stone, Mercy Mack, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Sandra Bland, Freddie Gray, Elijah McClain, Alton Sterling, Tatiana Jefferson. I just want to make sure that in the process of us kind of listening to all of the things that's happening out there, the noise, that we are not losing sight of, where we're at as a people and what we need to do. And I wanted to take a moment to just, maybe you're not marching anymore. Maybe you aren't joining your local election board. Maybe you aren't, listen, your contribution could be something as small as, hey, I know that you're looking for a t-shirt manufacturer, black person who's trying to start a t-shirt business. I know someone who's a t-shirt manufacturer. Maybe I can hook you guys up together. I know someone, listen, here's what I've come to realize. We cannot be upset that white people have this level of power. Speaking of Nick Cannon, the racism exists because there is an uneven level of power due to policies and politics that work in favor of white people and do not work in favor of people of color and black people especially. Right? Okay, cool. They know that this power exists. Would you want to relinquish that? Think about it. I wouldn't want to relinquish that power either. But we have a power of our own. We don't have their power. It's not equal. We don't have their power, okay? But for what we can do between each other, we can do stuff. We can leverage our relationships with one another. And it doesn't have to be driven on ego. It costs you nothing to big up your friend's business. It costs you nothing to repost your friend's, workout video or their vintage whatever or their production company or their website making company